What's going on, guys? Tony Rican here with another episode of Rican's Awesome Wrestling. And again, we're going to be listening to Dirty Dutch Mantel, Zeb Colter, talking about almost getting killed in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's not that bad. Don't listen to him. No, anyways, no, just kidding. Go ahead and roll the clip, and let's go ahead and see what he has to say.
Dirty Dutch Mantel from Altroff, Texas. Where did the Dirty Dutch come from, and why Altroff, Texas?
Well, I didn't want to be from Dallas, Texas. I didn't want to be from Atlanta, Georgia. I didn't want to be from Miami. I wanted to be out of a place where everybody knows where that is. So I said, well, if I say Altroff, Texas, people say, where in the hell is Altroff, Texas? So people used to ask me, hey, where is Altroff? And I said, you know where El Paso is? They said, yeah. I said, but it's nowhere close to there. So look on another part of the map. And, you know, Altroff, I just made it up. It was, and then the dirty part, you know, Dutch, I had to pick a D, so dirty. So I just made it up. Somebody said, who gave you that? I said, nobody gave me that. I created it. Unless you created it yourself, nobody else is going to take the time to create that. So, and I just went out there and, like, I would just say, hey, it's going to be a fight, and you're not going to win it. So, and if I'm going to hit you first, because I know you're going to hit me, so I'm going to try to hit you first. So. Well, actually, the dirty part, I went to Puerto Rico, and dirty was Sucio, and I became Sucio Dutch, even though it was an S and a D. It's Sucio Dutch Mantel. And it worked there, so I brought it back, and I just took that, translated it back to English. And I always told everybody in Puerto Rico, one reason that I went down there and really kind of, for the time, we were doing 16,000-seat houses. We'd sell it out.
That's astronomical.
I was the first American to go down there and trash talk the island. You know, I told everybody.
How much heat did that get?
Oh, my God. I couldn't walk on the street.
Straight up couldn't walk on the street?
No, I could not walk on the street. I'd go out there, and the first thing is, you know, that's how I learned the bad words in Spanish first. Hijo de puta. That's it, you know. And I don't know if anybody speaks Spanish. I'm sure people that listen to this speak Spanish, but I didn't know what it meant, but it's just the way it sounded. Hijo de puta. It just sounded bad, you know. I said, oh, that can't be good. Cabron, you know. And it was just, that's how I learned the bad words. But I could not take 3 or 4 steps on the street in Puerto Rico without somebody saying something to me. And they wouldn't come up and confront me directly because they were kind of afraid of me, but they would throw rocks at me.
But that's the question I had. I heard so many stories from Puerto Rico, and I out of all the places I've been throughout my career, Puerto Rico was not one of the places I've been. So I heard stories back in the day, and since you had that kind of heat, people throwing spark plugs, quarters, cups of piss, this, that, whatever, straight up shoot?
Yes. I made really, really good money there, but I earned every dime of it. Because when I went down there, they said, well, we put the main event on 4th. And I went, well, that is stupid as hell. Why would you put your main event on 4th? These stupid people, what the heck? Till I went out there.
And you found out?
And 4th match, they almost beat me to death. And I asked somebody in the office, I said, really, is that the reason? They said, yes, because if you wait later in the night, they really get drunk and they'll kill you. And I said, oh, well, now they're the smartest people in the world. Put me on 4th. I would remember we had so much heat. It was me and Frankie Lane. We were the Vaqueros Locos, the crazy cowboys, I guess. We'd have to, the show would start at 8:30, or they would advertise 8:30. It would start like 20 after 9, or whenever they got ready, you know. And the people would be lined up at 4:30 in the afternoon to buy tickets, and that's when we would get there. And we'd get in there, and now we got all that time to kill. And then after the matches, say one of the guys would be on the main event, we'd be traveling with, and we'd have to wait till the matches were over. And sometimes in some of the big stadium shows, matches would be over at 11, 11:30. We'd leave at 2:30 in the morning because people would wait on you. And they said, oh, they'll be out in a minute, and they don't have rocks. And I remember a guy down there, he was wrestling, and he told me one time, and he says, Dutch, he said, I remember when I was a kid. He said, I would bring rocks to the matches, and I would sell them for a nickel a piece. I said, well, you no good bastard, you know? And when you would hit that field, sometimes they would throw so much stuff. It resembled a biblical stoning. That's when I developed the hat and the poncho. Because what the poncho did, I just pull it down.
Right.
And it would hit that and hit my
Yeah.
head. I'd turn the hat toward the people, and we had the titles, had tag team titles, and I'd put it up around my head. They would just
Straight up. That's why you come up with a cowboy. And,
Yeah, well, I had the hat anyway.
Yeah.
I actually bought a bigger hat with a bigger brim because it would cover more area, and that's when I got the poncho. And I'd pull the poncho down.
Right.
And that would take, and you could
hit you. They could hit the poncho.
It would be rocks, it'd be spark plugs. Right. A lot of times it would be a Coke cup with ice in it.
Right.
And they all played baseball year round, so they all had.
Oh yeah, they all got a gun.
They all had great arms and had guns, and they would just rip you up.
Hey, so
you've heard people fighting back from the ring.
Yeah. A
couple of times we fought going to the ring. We had this cage match in Roberto Clemente one time.
Yeah.
We went out there fourth, and we fought. We had about 10 cops around us, and they were punching through, and I'm kicking the cops. It was a fight, a moving fight.
Yeah.
We got to the ring, and I got in there, and I went, whew, damn. And then I looked at those people, and they looked at me. And they're all drunk. I wish I'd been drunk.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I just came through those people. And in about 15 minutes, I'm probably going to have to be going back through them because I don't think they're going nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I went back. I remember we got back through them that night, and I actually sat down. When we got back in the dressing room, I had to sit down and went, damn, I don't want to do that again.
But you know what? And now as we talk about it, I mean, and it's scary while you're doing it, but you kill for that kind of response, to have that kind of heat as a heel. I mean, that's money.
Yeah,
it's scary as hell.
And
I never had that kind of heat on me or was around in that day when that stuff was going down. But I mean, that's the kind of heat you dream about.
Well, they thought the space program was fake and wrestling was real.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Because I went down there and I talked about their women, I talked about their food, I talked about their language.
Yeah.
Similar to today, but
yeah.
I was the first one to do it.
Right. And
I touched the nerve because I found out I didn't know anything about Puerto Rico, but I knew that. And I've had when I got down there, of course it's a winter, vacation spot. And I talked to some Puerto Ricans from New York, and they told me that they're very sensitive to, because the New York Puerto Ricans look down on the native Puerto Ricans. Because,
really?
They look at them like they're like the rednecks who never
right.
who never left the farm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And they go down there, and there's a lot of heat between the New Ricans and the Puerto Ricans. Or what they tell me, I don't know. And they said they're sensitive about this and this and this and this. So I just took what they told me and applied it. And of course, when I would do my interviews, I would do it in English but I told them I spoke Spanish and I'm very fluent, but I thought it was a primitive language, and I refused to speak it. And the guy, his name was Riquín Sanchez, and he was about drunk all the time. And sometimes he would do those interviews. He's hammered.
Yeah.
So he would he'd throw his own commentary in there. And he probably helped me more than anything.
Yeah.
People hated me.
Okay, so with all that heat going on in Puerto Rico, did you ever do a turn and work babyface over there?
No. Never did.
Never did.
Maybe later on, 10 years later.
Right. But not during the peak of the heat.
I remember one time, it was at Christmas, and they said, we want you to dress up like Santa Claus. And Carlos Colon, the big star down there, he was going to wrestle Harley Race for the world title with Roberto Clemente. And I thought it was stupid for me to go out there as Santa Claus. And they said, hand out candy, and they were saying things in Spanish, and I was going, Feliz Navidad, but I had got an accent, right?
Yeah.
And they were looking at me like my eyes are green. You don't look like Puerto Rican Santa Claus. People looking at me funny anyway.
Right.
But I remember that, I walked up close to the ring, and when the match was over, I was supposed to hit the ring and, cause Carlos the match.
Right.
Which I did, which was a mistake.
Right.
Later on, in retrospect. And I remember looking at Harley, and, Harley's kind of the type you don't phase much.
Right.
And he looked at me, and he says, Kid, we need to get out of here. I was saying,
Harley never talks any louder than that. That's a shoot.
I said, well, I'm thinking, boy, it took you a long time. I was at that same conclusion about 5 minutes ago before I got in here.
Yeah.
And, brother, here they come.
Well, there you have it. Dutch Mantel on working down in Puerto Rico and almost getting killed on getting over heat. Now, I had one little short run as a heel. The rest of the whole time I've worked babyface, and this was down when me and one of my buddies, Mike Hornan, used to travel. We used to travel a ton. We used to do a circuit that took us through Osceola, Arkansas. And when we were down in Arkansas, we played a couple of pretty boys. Just when I had hair, it was nice and curly. We used to go down there and play a couple of pretty boys. and they were on the local TV down there, this company, and they were taking their top babyface tag team out of the rotation for a little while because of a couple of injuries. The guys needed rest. So me and Mike were tapped to injure them to go ahead and take them out for a while. When me and Mike were in the ring, we're just getting the crowd riled up. There was an old lady, I remember this distinctly, who had just had a back surgery. She was in a wheelchair from this. The old woman was so pissed off. When Mike was on the outside of the ring, walking around, getting the crowd going, I was in the inside yelling at them. And this old woman who had just had back surgery got out of her wheelchair and kicked Horning. She fucking kicked Mike Horning so damn hard, I almost started cracking up laughing in that ring. Anyways, we go through this match, we injure the guys, we get to the back, and we hadn't been down in Arkansas but a couple of times when we had done this, so we're down there, and we get to the back and we're getting ready, we get dressed, show's over, we're getting ready to leave, and the promoter tells us, nope, you can't leave. I'm like, what do you mean we can't leave, man? We're hungry, we're thirsty, we want to get out of here. He said, no, I ordered some pizza, it's on its way. So why can't we leave? He said, I can't have you guys go out there, you get your ass beat, all the fans are waiting out there, they're pissed off. There was a group of maybe 6 or 7 heels who had to stay in the locker room for several hours and wait for the parking lot to dissipate so that way we could leave safely. And I'll tell you this, up here, in the Midwest and, through Pennsylvania, Ohio, all that stuff, I had never run into anything like this. But down in the South, I was a babyface when I was down in Carolinas, but I was a heel down, like I said, down in Arkansas, and it's the only place I have ever seen this is in the South. And it personally had to deal with it down in Arkansas. So, I mean, this shit gets riled. They take their wrestling seriously. And, I mean, I was never in a position like Dutch where I actually feared for my life, but I mean, thank God it's just not that bad anymore. Well, thank God for the performers. I wish people still took wrestling like that. But anyways, guys, go ahead, tell me what you think of Dirty Dutch Mantel. Go ahead and leave some comments, tell stories, whatever. I really got nothing this time around, so go ahead and leave some comments, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys next time.